T.I.'s attempt to pursue Jay-Z caused a stir in the hip-hop community. After Jay-Z made fun of him, he gave 50 Cent exclusive information about Jay-Z in the hopes that 50 Cent would use it in his documentary. Jay-Z is now enraged and seeking vicious retribution, and the new information may fundamentally alter the course of events. We'll go over everything that transpired between T.I. and 50 Cent, how these files turned into a weapon, and why Jay-Z is prepared to retaliate like never before. You must go back to the beginning to comprehend how Jay-Z's name came to be associated with this circumstance. And a Versus struggle marks the commencement of this specific chapter. T first proposed that the two had decided on a Versus war on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, which was hosted by Gilly the Kid and Wallow. The intention was that Tip would break the news. On the pod, he asserted that after T broke the news, 50 returned to the dumb plan. That was the foundation of everything that came after. The first full-fledged rap feud of 2026 originated from a discussion that was meant to honor two iconic catalogs. To put things in perspective, the notion of T.I. and 50 Cent in a Versus was not novel. In a 2020 Instagram video, T challenged 50 to a Versus-style 20-song duel on 50 Cent's birthday. 50 refused to accept. He made it obvious that he was handling the problem with humor when he remarked that someone must have passed T, the cannabis they gave Smokey on Friday. That was a long time ago, and the notion persisted. T.I. persisted in demanding it. 50 Cent rejected the notion of doing Versus in 2021, arguing that it was illogical given that the platform was really only for the pandemic. Even though his calls were unanswered, T.I. suggested that the two take their problems to Virus to see who had the superior catalog. After that, there was a period of silence. Both men went on to work on different projects. However, in 2026, T.I. was preparing for what he has called his last album. Prior to T.I. stepping up the promotion of his new album, Kill the King, things had cooled down during the previous few months. It's obvious that he's going all out to boost this one's marketing. At that point, everything erupted once more. When T.I. started rattling 50 Cent's cage once more in early February 2026, he was on Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Oakesnecht. He said that 50 was avoiding him this time. He repeatedly stated that he and 50 had discussed the Versus behind closed doors, that 50 had consented to it, and that 50 had changed his mind when the story became public. I didn't hold back. He described the specifics of those private talks to the $1 Million Game podcast. According to him, the main goal was to celebrate each other's catalog. However, when questioned about it in public, the Hate It or Love It musician reportedly withdrew from the event without giving a reason. That's what triggered T.I. It's like __ all of it, T.I. stated. I now doubt your morality. No, just express your desire not to do it. The line was right there in that phrase. The dispute shifted from a rap argument to a personal one as T.I. publicly questioned 50 Cent's character. Furthermore, 50 Cent, being 50 Cent, did not offer words of reconciliation in response. He answered in the same manner that he usually does on Instagram. Following Tip's remarks, 50 shares an unfavorable picture of Tiny, along with a text that essentially tells Tip not to mention his name. This is the turning point where the rap discussion becomes more personal. The Harris family mobilized at that point. T didn't simply shoot back. His entire family became interested. T released a song named War in the Middle of the Chaos and tweeted with vigor. A number of media sites presented the conflict as an unprecedented reaction to trolling in the 1950s and The Little Post. Then, when 50 Cent shared negative pictures of Tiny Harris, things took a turn for the worst. The Harris family retaliated forcefully. In response, King Harris, the son of T and Tiny, wore a T-shirt with a picture of 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who died in an apartment fire when 50 was only 8 years old. Even the internet was troubled by that because it went too far. In an interview, T even mentioned that his kid King's appearance on social media wearing a T-shirt with a photo of 50 Cent's mother marked the point at which he had had enough. Even though T knew it was too much, the harm had already been done. For diss tracks, War, The Right One, Lessons, and What Bully, that are directed at 50 Cent have been released by T.I. as of March 2026. This is a whole family matter because his kids, King Harris and Demany Harris, have also issued their own answers. This was no longer a versus exchange. It was a war. And 50 Cent used the weapon that forced everyone to pay attention during this conflict. The danger of documentaries. You must comprehend what 50 Cent had already accomplished with his prior documentary work in order to comprehend why the documentary threat carried such weight. Due to the fact that this was a real threat, 50 Cent had a history. The Reckoning, starring Sean Combs, debuted on Netflix on December 2, 2025. As a 4-part documentary series that explores Diddy's purported criminal past and claims of sexual assault. As executive producer, 50 Cent said the documentary was required to give victims a voice and shed light on Diddy's contentious actions over many years. It was a cultural event, that documentary. Interviews with jurors from Diddy's federal trial are included in the documentary. The case started in September 2024 when Combs was detained and accused of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, deception or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. This wasn't a blog article about gossip. This multi-episode series was produced for the world's largest streaming service. Diddy was given a 50-month prison sentence at Fort Dix in October 2025 after being found guilty in July 2025 of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Additionally, 50 Cent ensured that the entire globe witnessed the narrative. 50 Cent has stated that the documentary was already in the works before Diddy's arrest in September 2024 and that he had been suspicious about Combs's alleged unlawful behavior for years. This was something he had been preparing for a long time. It appears that 50 Cent is going to take things to a completely new yet recognizable level when it eventually drops. The now famous Netflix documentary series Sean Combs, which shocked pop culture at the end of 2025, was created by a 50 Cent executive, as millions of subscribers will remember. Now, none of this pleased Diddy's crew. The fact that Netflix gave creative authority to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, a longtime rival with a personal grudge who has spent too much time disparaging Mr. Combs, is similarly shocking, according to Diddy's spokesman. However, Netflix supported the initiative, and many watched it. The documentary was well received. 50 Cent also used the same strategy as the conflict with T.I. intensified. 50 Cent shared an Instagram screenshot on March 5th with the caption, 50 reportedly developing Surviving T.I. and Tiny documentary, before swiftly removing it. Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy do? Was the caption. They're going to inquire about your 20 sexual assault cases, so you might want to speak with a crisis PR specialist. I hope this doesn't ruin your publicity tour. Dame assumed I wasn't coming. That's a warning wrapped in a tease wrapped in a threat. And the important connection to the Diddy do is why it landed so hard. Many in the hip-hop community believe that the Netflix documentary series about Sean Combs, which was produced by 50 Cent and premiered in late 2025, hastened Diddy's public demise. T, who has been quite self-assured throughout their rekindled spat, is being intimidated by 50 Cent. According to reports, 50 Cent is attempting to wreak revenge on T.I. in a manner that is nearly identical to what he did with Diddy, based on a variety of sources, including Star 94.5. According to industry sources, there are rumors that the Gunnet billionaire may release The Reckoning, a documentary akin to Sean Combs. Even the title Surviving T and Tiny is being discussed. The project's potential name would bring up previous accusations of sexual assault against the pair made by a number of women. It's crucial to remember that T and Tiny are accused of sex trafficking, drugging, sexual assault, sexual abuse, and other offenses. Although courts continue to reject these allegations, a civil action filed in 2024 was dismissed. They have already refuted all of these accusations and will probably do so in the future. The way T.I. handled the documentary threat was typical. The Atlanta musician dismissed these documentary threats by captioning an Instagram post, "We can go bar for bar, hit for hit, or doc for doc. Either way, all you are going to do is show how much of FNU there is." But behind the bravado, the threat changed the dynamics because everybody saw what the Diddy documentary did, even though he hasn't yet responded to his queen's enemies on wax insults. No one was taking 50 Cent's remarks lightly because the Diddy documentary was genuine, powerful, and came after a protracted period of silence that many believed to be his surrender. In a social media post, 50 Cent made fun of Jay-Z's response to not being included in the Diddy Netflix documentary Sean Combs, The Reckoning, along with a video that featured Hav's face defaked into Lionel Richie's You Are music video. This is the part that links all of this to Jay-Z because, while he was engaged in a public battle with T.I., he was also focusing his documentary lens on another target, and this one was bigger than anyone anticipated. In December 2025, just before the documentary was released, Jay-Z sent me this message after realizing he wasn't in the Diddy Dog. At the time, it was treated like typical 50 Cent trolling, but then something happened that completely altered the situation. Under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the U.S. Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of documents, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 photos from its investigations into convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. On January 30, 2026, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced that the DOJ had produced a tranche of material in compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and Jay's name appeared in one unverified hotline tip from 2019. This is where the details come into play. Crucially, neither Epstein's verified contact lists nor his documented flight logs contain Jay-Z's name. Instead, what has gone viral online is an FBI hotline intake report that was filed following Epstein's arrest, in which an anonymous person reported an alleged incident involving Jay-Z and film producer Harvey Weinstein at Epstein's Florida mansion in 1996. The DOJ has warned that such crisis intake calls are unverified tips from the public and are not proof of investigative findings. The context is crucial, but 50 Cent didn't care. As soon as the names were made public, he posted Jay-Z's AI-generated photo to Instagram with the caption, "Damn, they got your man Jay in the Epstein files." Being mentioned in an intake report does not imply law enforcement investigation, membership in Epstein's social circles, or involvement in wrongdoing. I got to dock this garbage. Rapper 50 Cent Jackson threatened a documentary about Jay-Z in a single Instagram post on January 31, 2026, coupled with computer-generated images of Jay-Z, sparking renewed interest in the recently revealed Epstein files worldwide. This was no longer a joke between rappers. 50 Cent, fresh off a successful documentary about Diddy in the midst of a war with T.I., was publicly declaring he wanted to make a documentary about Jay-Z's alleged connection to Jeffrey Epstein. And this was not the first time 50 had taken aim at Jay-Z after the Diddy documentary dropped. The post quickly went viral, garnering hundreds of thousands of interactions and prompting intense scrutiny of the Justice Department's most recent release. "Please stop sending me stuff like this," he had previously written. "I will not share it." Many questioned whether 50 Cent intended to use Jay-Z as the subject of his upcoming documentary in the description of an Instagram post that included both a genuine and cartoonish image of the rapper. He did not, however, address the rumors. That post-and-deny strategy is typical of 50 Cent. He puts the notion out there, observes how people react, and then pretends to be innocent. You must comprehend the history between Jay-Z and 50 Cent in order to comprehend why Jay-Z's situation is so delicate. This rivalry is not new. 50 Cent and Jay-Z have a lengthy and complex history that began with their early feud with the release of How to Rob in 1999. In that song, a young 50 Cent threw jabs at almost every major figure in the business, including Jay-Z. The rivalry between 50 Cent and Jay-Z started with lyrical jabs and industry rivalry as both became well known in New York's rap scene in the late 1990s. 50 Cent had made fun of a number of rappers, including Rockefeller Records founder Jay-Z, who retaliated by responding to the diss in his song, "It's Hot, Some Like It Hot." However, the rivalry between 50 Cent and Jay-Z has always been complicated because it is not just hostile. Over the next few years, they worked together and even appeared in an advertisement. The two rappers collaborated on a Reebok commercial, and in 2007, 50 Cent collaborated with Jay-Z and Diddy on the remix of I Get Money. Their personal relationships were always tense, and in an interview with MTV News in 2011, 50 claimed that his relationship with Carter was solely business-related. "We don't have those kinds of relationships," he declared. "I hang out with these folks. We work in the same industry. We're not always pals. We don't just phone each other. It's not like we have something against each other to make us enemies. Jay and I will repeatedly use each other for energy," he remarked, summarizing the entire relationship. The relationship between these two guys has always been transactional and opportunistic. Neither of them views the other as a friend, but they both see the other's value as a counterpoint. That statement says it all. Jay-Z recounted the beginning of 50 Cent's career on The Breakfast Club in 2013. Later, in 2017, 50 Cent responded to Jay-Z's release of his 444 album, claiming in a deleted Instagram video that it was golf course music. Then came the Super Bowl controversy, claiming that Jay attempted to prevent him from performing at the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show alongside Dr. "They didn't want me there," he stated, referring to Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, and Eminem. "Mom wouldn't do it without me," he continued. The allegation that Jay-Z attempted to keep 50 Cent off the Super Bowl stage by using his position at Roc Nation, which was associated with the NFL's entertainment programming, gave the personal feud an additional layer of institutional authority. Everyone in hip-hop understood the implications of the Diddy documentary's release and success, as well as 50 Cent's public jokes about Jay-Z and subsequent threats of documentaries in every direction. Online speculation intensified when Jewel appeared to follow 50 Cent's former partner on Instagram, a seemingly insignificant gesture that fueled theories about shifting alliances. This was no longer just two rappers trading bars. Ja Rule, Jay-Z, and Roc Nation were allegedly getting ready to launch an attack, according to a circulating statement, which 50 Cent refuted with the sardonic remark, "My momentum makes them all get together." Jay-Z was being drawn into the story, whether he liked it or not, and 50 Cent was publicly expressing what many people were thinking, that a coalition of his enemies was gathering. Here's what's important, though. Jay-Z hasn't made any public remarks on the series or 50 Cent specifically. This is in line with how he has handled almost every controversy in recent years, and he doesn't participate in public back and forth on social media. He doesn't react to trolling. Instead, he uses lawyers and industry influence rather than Instagram posts. This is why T.I.'s role becomes so crucial, because the feud between T.I. and 50 Cent wasn't isolated. Rather, it created an environment in which 50 Cent was frequently discussing documentaries about T.I., Tiny, and Jay-Z. Jay-Z was hit with a sexual assault lawsuit earlier in 2024, which was later dropped. The Jane Doe, who filed the $20 million lawsuit, later stated that she would remain anonymous out of fear for her safety and mental health. The more people 50 brought in, the more Jay-Z's name continued to circulate. Now add the Epstein files to that. She accused Diddy and Jay-Z of sexual assault in the first lawsuit, which was later dropped, but the accusation had already been made public. Now that Jay-Z's name was mentioned in the Epstein files, even in an unconfirmed tip, 50 Cent had more evidence to support the story. Let's put this all together and see where things stand. Rap's biggest beef of 2026 is the long-simmering rivalry between New York rap icon 50 Cent and Atlanta's self-proclaimed king of the South, T. What began as a botched Verzu battle proposal has escalated into a full-fledged war of diss tracks, family involvement, and social media chaos. The Diddy documentary demonstrated the effectiveness of 50 Cent's use of documentaries as weapons. 50 Cent has essentially documented his long-standing mistrust of Diddy through Sean Combs' The Reckoning, which is supported by testimony from alleged victims, archival footage, and journalistic investigation. The cultural impact of that project gave 50 Cent a new tool, one that is arguably more damaging than any diss track. When T.I. pushed the Verzu's angle too hard and the beef became personal, 50 Cent responded with the threat of a documentary rather than a song. Tip's wife, Tamika "Tiny" Cottle Harris, is also the subject of speculative rumors and unverified gossip about this. Tasha K recently made an allegation on Twitter, claiming to have spoken to sources purportedly connected to the G-Unit Moguls team. It is crucial to note that this has not been officially confirmed. The rumor was made by Tasha K, who claimed that 50 Cent is working on a documentary about alleged drugging and assault allegations related to T and Tiny. Fans find the idea plausible given 50's track record with the Power franchise and other TV projects, but it is still unconfirmed. As for the Jay-Z documentary, 50 Cent and Jay-Z have a long history of tension and animosity, so it is not surprising to see this documentary tease, which is likely just social media trolling. The truth is that 50 Cent frequently posts provocative content, measures the response, and then decides whether to follow through or let it ride. 50 Cent was quick to take advantage of the situation, even though the claims were baseless. The key word here is capitalize. 50 Cent is a businessman as much as a rapper, and every post, threat, and joke keeps him in the center of the discourse. The topic of discussion at the moment is whether anyone in hip-hop is safe from 50 Cent's documentary treatment. It's unclear whether the resurrected chatter represents a significant escalation or just another flare-up in an era of performative online feuds, but 50 Cent's constant barrage of pointed posts has kept the conversation going, ensuring that the disputes surrounding the documentary continued to orbit him. The situation involving T.I. dragging Jay-Z's name into the orbit of 50 Cent's documentary threats. It's about the atmosphere that all of these overlapping feuds have created. T.I. has previously performed with Jay-Z, so it's intentional for the lines between distinct conflicts to blur when 50 Cent is beefing with T.I. and simultaneously trolling Jay-Z about the Epstein files and Diddy documentary connections. The real question is whether any of these documentary threats come to pass. Hip-hop is keeping a close eye on this one. In 2007, while T.I. was performing with Jay-Z and Kanye West at Screamfest 2007, 50 would pull a Lil Mama, jumping on stage and crashing the set. These figures are all connected through decades of shared industry space, concerts, business dealings, and personal relationships. Although Jay-Z hasn't recently addressed 50 Cent, he has never backed down from his numerous infamous rap feuds, even when the other party hasn't done much to fuel the fire. He still roped Have and Roc Nation in with Ja Rule while seemingly addressing the backlash to Sean Combs' The Reckoning. The question isn't just whether the documentary exists, it's whether 50 Cent's playbook from Combs can be replicated. The picture that emerges from the Netflix documentary series on Diddy that the G-Unit Mogul executive produced is this: 50 Cent is acting on several fronts, including a feud with T.I. and a threat to make a documentary about T.I. and Tiny. In the wake of a successful Diddy documentary that demonstrated 50 Cent can actually follow through on these kinds of projects, he is simultaneously making fun of Jay-Z for his connections to Epstein and hinting at a documentary about it. Jay-Z's silence in the midst of all of this speaks for itself. He has not publicly interacted with 50 Cent. The Epstein file mentions have not elicited a response from him. The documentary threats have not been answered by him. For the time being, the loudest statement in the whole story is that silence. Whether 50 Cent's threats to produce a documentary against T.I. and Jay-Z ever happen, or if they just serve as social media leverage, there is no doubt that the hip-hop beef scene has evolved. Diss songs are one thing. Netflix documentaries that comprise 4 parts are quite different. And 50 Cent currently has that card. Whether he plays is the one unanswered question.